What's up guys, Brady here. Today I'm going to be talking about another one of my favorite albums. We're talking about Killswitch Engage's iconic fourth album, As Daylight Dies. If the Killswitch content I haven't made up to this date hasn't already made it clear, I'm definitely more of a Jesse guy in terms of picking a side among the Killswitch catalog. But even though my favorite albums are, Alive or Just Breathing and Incarnate and Disarm the Descent, this album I just can't deny the greatness of the Howard era period. And if you're a Killswitch fan, I would encourage you to watch all the way through because I think my take on this record is going to be a lot different than other people who have talked about this record on YouTube. Because I didn't grow up on this record. I had to listen back on it after discovering Killswitch with Disarm the Descent and Incarnate. And, from an outside point of view, like, these albums, all of Killswitch's albums may not sound a whole lot different, but if you're a hardcore Killswitch Engage fan, the records really do sound different from each other. As far as the Howard trilogy, I think we can refer to these albums as now, they're definitely more on the accessible side of Killswitch Engage's material, and maybe at times just a bit more straightforward musically. But that doesn't mean that's a knock I'm giving this record. I actually think what makes this album in particular so good is the fact that it thrives in that role in Killswitch's catalog, given the context of every album they've released since then. It's pretty melodic, it's pretty accessible, but all these things combined makes the album very, very memorable. And I would go as far as to say that this is my favorite of the Howard trilogy. For one, 4 albums in now, the band just sounded really, really confident with this album. Just every song on here, this is such a tight record. The band is performing at their absolute best. And much like every Killswitch record, there is a very wide and impressive span of emotional dynamics. There isn't really a track on this record where the band is just full-on heavy, non-stop the entire time. Every track on here has a good mix of heaviness and melody, but there are heavier tracks on here that maybe are a bit more dramatic and are just a bit more extreme overall. Like, obviously the opener, Daylight Dies. I mean, you get the tremolo riffs fading in to start the fucking record. I mean, that's a statement right there. It's just got a great build-up and this tension. I love the drama in this song, and especially kind of when you get the music fully kicking in and you get that vicious, layered scream from Howard. The intro of the song really does build up that tension, and then the band kind of settles into more of those mid-tempo grooves. The bridge section has like these climbing melodies that bring in some more tension, and then a pretty effective breakdown with some vocals over it. And then the chorus of this song is, if you're a music theory nerd like I am, you'll especially appreciate how there's a very smooth transition into a time change in the chorus. When the chorus hits, it transitions from a common time into a 3/4 time. Another comparable song on this record is Unbroken, for multiple reasons. For one, again, it's one of the heavier cuts on here. I mean, right away, the song starts off with some really fast skank beats from drummer Justin Foley. It transitions into more of those like groovy, down-picked percussive riffs that I think are really catchy. And then again, the chorus is just so epic and so triumphant and so dramatic with those harmonized guitars, the double bass, and Howard's very well-placed vocal cadences. The bridge of the song, obviously great as well. These are 2 tracks that I think really do amplify just the kind of the distraught, like, again, drama that presents itself throughout this album. And I think maybe a third song that you can clump in with that group is the track Eye of the Storm. This one kind of mixes things up a little bit more just in that pre-chorus, how you get the heavier music with the clean vocals over it. That like cascading but yet groovy intro riff is great, one of the best on the record. And then again, that chorus is just so epic sounding. It has more of like a trade-off between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals. And I like how, in terms of the formula and the structure of this song, the band really mixes it up, and it makes it a bit of a different track among others on this record. Also shout out the B-side on here, B1, as another one that fits into that group. Just that epic, again, chorus section with those harmonized guitars. It just sounds so full. And then maybe my favorite bunch of tracks on the record are the ones that go for being straightforward, more melodic type tracks. Obviously, they still have their heavy moments, but the main focus of these songs is to kind of hit you right in the emotions, which the songs really do a good job of doing. It's some of the deep cuts for me, like Break the Silence is maybe my favorite song on the entire record. I love the melodies in it. It's got such like a fairly dramatic, again, chorus, but in a more melodic nature. And I just love the way Howard actually says, if we can break the silence, and then Adam D's vocals kind of trade off with that. And then there's a really effective come down in the bridge section where the melodies are familiar at this point in the song, but like they sound so cool being stripped down like that. And then the gradual upswing of the bridge, it's such a fucking awesome moment, and probably the best song on the record for me. I also love Desperate Times, a really underrated song from this record also, which I have to salute for actually pulling off that like tempo-wise, slow, sludgy pace that the song does so well. On paper, a song like this might come off a bit sluggish, but like this song does not feel sluggish at all. It feels like it just has this methodical march to it. And when that chorus hits and you get those kind of distant but emotional tremolo guitar melodies and Howard's vocal lines, they sound so full of just despair and wrought with grief. The track For You is another big highlight for me on here. For one, it's definitely the techie song on this record, which I feel like Killswitch always has like one song on each record where it's a little bit more techie. This song, you hear it right away with just that unconventional groove in the intro. But I mean, it has also everything else that makes this record great. I mean, that pre-chorus with those chuggy guitars and those lightning fast double bass drums sounds fucking awesome. And then like there's this bouncy chorus that's driven by a snare drum with, again, some really like endearing vocal melodies from Howard. And then that post-chorus section is one of my favorite grooves on the record. It brings forth like a straight up groove metal influence too, just in the way it has like that bend to it. And then, of course, there's that melodic bridge section, which, I mean, every Killswitch fan knows that's one of Killswitch's tropes. And this song, again, that moment, that bridge section is one of my favorite bridge sections on the record, just in its melodies. And, of course, I can't talk about this record without talking about the hits and the most well-known songs from the record, which, I mean, My Curse might be the most iconic metalcore song ever, maybe. It's one of those songs that I feel like I have heard so fucking much just on social media and stuff of that nature. Just I've heard it so many times, but I never get tired of it. Every time I listen to this album, this isn't a song I skip because it's overplayed, which, you know, if I'm listening to System of a Down Toxicity, I might skip over Chop Suey, not gonna lie, not because it's a bad song, but just because I've heard it a million times. Or if we're using a more comparable album, like Avenged Sevenfold, Waking the Fallen, I'm probably gonna skip over Unholy Confessions, not gonna lie, but I would never skip over My Curse. Intro melody, I mean, it's so beautiful. It's such a pretty melody. And, you know, it's probably this or Arms of Sorrow up in the air as to which is like the most melodic song on this record. And it says a lot that Killswitch was so successful with this album and this song, despite the fact that it still has its heavy moments. I mean, that vicious scream that Howard lets out when it kicks into that main verse groove is still fucking epic. I like how Adam takes kind of like that lead vocal moment in the bridge too, and there's the come downs, there's up and down dynamics, there's that iconic chorus. I mean, what can I say about this song that hasn't already been said? And then of course, back to back, you have probably the other two most well-known songs of this record. This is Absolution and The Arms of Sorrow. This is Absolution has some of the like most drastic up and down dynamics on the entire record. I mean, it starts out with that steamrolling double bass groove in the intro, but then you get into the chorus and it's more of like that call and response thing before with the cleans and the screams. And then again, Adam D actually takes lead vocals in that kind of second chorus section with those twinkling guitar melodies underneath. That's a really cool moment. And I also really like the progression that this song has, because in that last chorus, Howard's parts, his clean vocals, just he belts them a lot more, and he sings them in a much higher register, and it really does give the song a really good progression. And then he ends up screaming what Adam D had been singing up to that point to end the song, and it ends up being a much heavier part of the song. And then Arms of Sorrow, that song is actually, fun fact, a song that I did a full band cover of years ago, but just never uploaded. This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago now, so I would definitely have to touch it up before I released it, but maybe it'll see the light of day at some point. It's maybe the most melodic song on the record, just because it's sung mostly clean, but even in that verse, like when you do have the powerful clean vocals, there's still like that element of dissonance underneath it in the guitars, which adds like this interesting combination that still makes the song sound pretty emotional. Absolutely love the chorus on this with the call and response thing going on between Adam and Howard. And this is Absolution. One of these two songs is probably Howard's just most passionate vocal performance on the record. And then that really dramatic bridge section with the pull-off riff going on the guitar, and the double bass kicks in and you get the kind of more distant vocals from Howard. That's another really cool moment. As far as songs I haven't talked about yet, I mean, the closer, Reject Yourself, is one that takes a lot from more like a straight-up mellow death sound, but it also has a very strong like early 2000s vibe to it just in its melodies. It's one of the more sugary tracks on here for sure. But it still has, the blast beats like in that pre-chorus, and again, that Melodeath inspired riffing. And then Still Beats Your Name is another song I like on here because like it gets right to the heaviness just right away from the intro, but then the chorus is very, very somber and very angsty. It departs from some of the more dramatic, epic choruses on the record, and it switches things up nicely. And I'll give a quick nod to the B-sides. Obviously, like I mentioned, B1 earlier, that's a very underrated Killswitch song. This Fire, I mean, I think that was actually the first song I ever heard from Killswitch because I used to watch wrestling a lot. And it's still a fucking crushing song. I mean, the intro groove, the chorus is fucking epic. I think Let the Bridges Burn is maybe the only B-side where I can kind of see why it was a B-side. Just because it feels like it uses ideas that were already used. So I think it was a good idea to make this song a B-side. But I mean, that's not knocking it. I still like it. And then, of course, you have the Holy Diver cover, which, I mean, what can I say about that? That hasn't already been said. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this record, Killswitch Engage's As Daylight Dies. If you're a fan of this record, if you're a Killswitch fan, please comment below your thoughts on it. How did you discover the record? What are some memories you have associated with it? Because I know a lot of Killswitch fans kind of grew up on the record. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button for more rock and metal related content, album reviews, things of that nature. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.